So thank you very much for that contribution, Stephen. We are going to hear next from somebody that you've probably all read. You might well have read his recent book, Asa Winstanley, who's a reporter and associate editor of the electronic Intifada, running live commentary from Gaza. I'm sure you'll tell us a little bit about that, Asa. His new book, Weaponizing Anti-Semitism, How the Israel Lobby Brought Down Jeremy Corbyn, is now available, and we'll put the link in the chat. So over to you, Asa. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Well, thanks for inviting me to this panel. Yeah, as was said, I am with the Electronic Intifada. We've been having regular live streams during this latest genocidal war on the Gaza Strip. And you can read all our reporting at electronicintifada.net. And the details are there of how to join the live streams. As was said, I am the author of the book Weaponizing Anti-Semitism, How the Israel Lobby Brought Down Jeremy Corbyn. And the book is about more than Jeremy Corbyn as an individual, and it's about more even than the movement behind Jeremy Corbyn. It really uses that as a kind of case study, I suppose you could say, of this whole issue of how the state of Israel and its lobby has, for decades, used the issue of anti-Semitism as a weapon, has tried to falsely portray, malign, and smear Palestinians and their supporters around the world as anti-Semites. And that they are motivated not by the desire for liberation, but by the desire by anti-Semitism, essentially, by the hatred of Jews as Jews. And this ignores the objective material reality that were the occupiers of Palestine not Jewish? Were they from another religious or ethnic background? Were they Christians? Were they Buddhists? Were they atheists, as indeed most of the early founders of the Zionist movement in Palestine were? Were they even Muslims? They would still be fought against in the same way that Palestinians have fought against and have always resisted the occupation of Palestine by the Zionist movement. And what we've seen in this latest war is, as has already been said by Ronnie, that it's a really, I mean, it's unprecedented, is just in terms of its scale and destruction and intent. It's a true description, but it's also doesn't really even get to the full heart of it. We've seen so far, as was said, as of yesterday, more than 11,000 Palestinians killed, and around 40% of them are children. This just shows the genocidal intent, that it's not about the Palestinian resistance factions. It's not about what even happened on the 7th of October. It's about a genocidal plan to expel and eliminate Palestinians. And this carnage, this Holocaust that we're seeing in Gaza is receiving, in response, the sheer disgust of the masses of the people around the world, that it is being protested against. We're seeing, we're going to see tomorrow in London, I think, probably the biggest demonstration in British history. That's what's likely to happen, I think. The last major demonstration 2 weeks ago in London was 500,000 people, and organisers expect tomorrow to be even larger than that. I would say that it's probably going to be 1 million people, along the lines of the February 2003 demonstration against the Iraq War. And so, and this is really, this support has not come from nowhere. It's come from years of building the Palestine Solidarity Movement around the world, and it's just come as well as a result of the sheer ferocity and brutality and depravity of Israel's crimes and massacres and its genocidal campaign in Gaza. And because of that, one of the wars that Israel fights on, one of the fronts in this war that Israel fights on, is the battle for public opinion, especially in the West, because it relies on military, political, and intelligence support from, first of all, the United States, and secondly, from Europe, from the European countries. And due to this, Israel is always trying to convince the world that the problems that it faces are due not to the revulsion at its crimes, but due to anti-Semitism. And we know this is simply not true. And this is what my book is about, and it's what we're seeing this process, this weaponization of anti-Semitism intensified. So we've seen in the last few weeks just a massive hysteria in the British press and in the Western press around the world about a supposed wave of anti-Semitism in the West and all this kind of stuff. And it's a way to distract and to justify the genocidal war against the Gaza Strip. You know, there's just been example after example of this, where Israeli representatives and pro-Israel lobbyists in the West have said, "Oh, look at these demonstrators; they're just anti-Semites." And there's been a whole series of incidents that have been manufactured. I can give you two examples, just the two most recent examples, which are really disgusting. Just yesterday, I don't know, can I share my screen?
Let me try. I think so.
No, it says this disabled. Never mind.
All right. Okay.
Yesterday, the account, the official Israeli government account at Israel on Twitter, shared a tweet. I'll share it in the chat. Shared a tweet which yesterday marked the 85 years since Kristallnacht, the pogrom, the Nazi pogrom of 1938, where synagogues and Jewish businesses were vandalized and attacked in Germany. We all learned about that in school history books. But what this posting, the tweet that I've just posted in the chat, claimed was that in the past couple of weeks, we've seen Jewish communities around the world face horrific anti-Semitism. That's what it claimed. And then it posted two photos, one of Germany in 1938 from Kristallnacht, and one from London last month in October. And it just showed a smashed glass door of a building in London without giving any context. But what this photo actually, the implication of that tweet was that this smashed business was a Jewish business which was being attacked for being Jewish. But I reported on this incident a month ago today, on the 10th of October, and there was hysteria about this at the time. But what actually happened to this business was there was a burglary, and that there was, yes, it did happen to be a kosher restaurant, but it had nothing to do with the fact that it was a kosher restaurant. It was a simple matter of a burglary. The till was stolen, and another non-Jewish business nearby, there was also an attempt at a burglary. So this incident was not anti-Semitism. It had nothing to do with anti-Semitism. It was a regular case of just the kind of crime that happens in London.
That's 1 minute.
And that was a month ago. And yet this was reported by the mainstream media, by the BBC correspondent Daniel Sanford. And yet the official account of Israel is trying to say that this is anti-Semitism. It's a complete lie. There was another example today. Joe Roberts, who is the chair of Merits in Canada, which is a Zionist organization. Today, only a few hours ago, tweeted a video claiming that students in Toronto had chanted, "Judah, Judah, you can't hide." And he claimed that they were invoking the blood libel against the Jewish people. And then he posted the video. And in the video, it's very, very clear. The students are saying, "Trudeau, Trudeau, you can't hide," a reference to the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. And this lie seems to me very deliberate, because it's very, very clear in the video that they're saying Trudeau. So this is just two examples, and there's many, many examples that we're seeing happen at the moment from Israel and its supporters. We don't have time to get into them all. I guess my message tonight is to not be distracted by these, not to back down from the campaign against the genocide in Gaza, and carry on, and don't be fooled by this mendacious campaign.
Thank you, Asa. I think there's a clear theme here, and Nina Heaton just posted a quote from Israeli Holocaust scholar Raz Segal, who talks about Israel's assault on Gaza. He calls his assault on Gaza a textbook case of intent to commit genocide, and its rationalization of its violence a shameful use, as Stevens says, of the lessons of the Holocaust. Israeli state exceptionalism, comparisons of its Palestinians victims to Nazis are used to justify, rationalize, deny, distort, disavow mass violence against Palestinians. And I'm with you, Asa. I cease to believe anything I hear on the BBC. It's absolutely shocking. I don't know who's feeding them. I'm assuming it's the IDF. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, read everything you see with a great deal of caution, unless you trust the sources. So thank you very much, Asa, for joining us. I hope you can stay a little bit longer. If not, thank you very much. But we are going to come back to debate and discussion later.